Welcome to Business Prowess with Raphael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Raphael is the founder of 5 Unique Shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Dr. Andrea, how are you today? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too. I'm looking like the Wizard of Oz head. Let me get the same head size as you.
How's that?
Good.
We can zoom in, zoom out. So I'm excited. We have Drewbie Wilson joining us, and he is just an exceptional human being. Why don't we go ahead and bring him on?
I'm excited about it.
There you go. Drewbie, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, good morning. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. So today's topic is take action. Just do it. Right? And we're not promoting Nike stuff. I'm just saying.
I love that topic. It's such a great topic because you know what? To get a result in life, to truly become who you want to become, that is the first step, is just to take action. And a lot of times people will procrastinate taking action. They'll put it off because they're afraid to get the result that they actually want because it's different than what they currently have.
Absolutely.
You know, it's almost like the lotto. If you're not in it, you can't win it, right? And then for those people who do win it, they don't know what to do with it.
It's crazy if you look up the statistics. I don't know what they are exactly, so you'd have to go ask the good old Googly, but it's the majority of people who hit the lotto or win some massive sum of money or inherit some big sum of money, almost all of them lose it. And it's because they haven't gained the complexity of thinking and the skill set to maintain that level of success or monetary value. And it's because they didn't do the work to earn it. And when you're doing the work and you're taking action, this is where you develop the skill set and the mindset to maintain what you achieve and what you acquire on the journey. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget, especially, it's 2024. We can pretty much have anything we want at our fingertips in a moment's notice. And so this instant gratification makes it difficult, I think, for a lot of people to really trust the process and to just take that action, knowing that over time with consistency, that action that they're taking is what's truly going to get them the result they want.
Oh, without a doubt. Dr. Andrea, what is your take on take action?
So there's been different times in my life where, I take action and take action fast. And then there's been times where I've had other things get in my way. So I remember a long time ago where my friends used to refer to me as the red marketing assassin. And that's because they said that at any moment they could ask me about something. And not only did I answer it, but it was already done and completed, usually by the time that while I'm researching, it would all happen. And what I've noticed in my life in the last couple of years, I let other situations and people get in my way that allowed me to trip over myself and to hesitate. So I'd lost a little bit of my confidence and my go get 'em attitude. And luckily with the integration of now being a trainer of NLP and hypnosis and all these wonderful brain things that are involved with being a neuroscientist, I've been able to release so many of them that I get so much done now that I literally, well, like you make fun of me, tease me lovingly because I'm putting my makeup on as we're coming on live. And that's because I have so much life that I'm living. I'm living 3 lifetimes in one that I have to multitask to get them all in.
Beautiful. But that's it. You're taking action in the moment, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times, a lot of people, and one of the things I always tell people is whether you take action or don't take action, you're actually taking action. Because when you sit there and do nothing, that's an action,
Yeah.
right? If I ask you a question and you don't answer, that's your action. So
Absolutely.
no matter how you look at it, you always take action.
So what would you think, like, like we say action too. Let's think about that, because sometimes people, even a baby step is an action. But what's the difference between an action and an action? Drewbie, what would you say?
I would say the instant answer that comes to my heart is intentionality. If
Mhm.
you're doing something just to do something, that's action. But if you're doing something to get the result with, absolute intention, then I would say that's taking action. That's like getting after it. And that's the difference between someone who you see as going and getting the result that they want, that's like living the life. You said, Dr. Andrea, hey, I'm living 3 lifetimes, because you've now made the decision to be very intentional with each action that you take. And what I would be willing to guess, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're not living in congruence with the actions you're taking and the life that you're saying that you want, there's a disconnect, and you can feel it in your heart and in your soul, where it's like, I'm not taking the action I should be, because it's not getting me the result that I want. And I think that's the difference, is that intentionality.
Mm,
Mhm.
nice. What
Yeah.
about you, Sifu?
I truly agree with what Drewbie just said, because you need to have intention with anything that you do. When you wake up in the morning, how is the rest of your day going to be? Otherwise, if you don't have intentions on those actions you're going to take, somebody else is going to steal your time. They're going to kidnap you. And all of a sudden, you're like, I'm not being kidnapped. Yes, you are, because you're on social media. You're answering the phone when you shouldn't be answering the phone. You have an open door policy, and I love an open door policy. That means I can talk to you at any time. But if I'm in the middle, like right now, if somebody came and knocked on my door, I'm not home. I'm with you guys. So that's the difference, right? I do have an open door policy, but there has to be limits, and you have to have limitations on to how important your time is. And you're living 3 lifetimes in one. And I'm very similar to you in a way, because a lot of people can't believe I'm 114 years old, but it's because of all the lives I am living.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just this fun, this life is so much more fun when we get to be able to do so much. And, I think about when I allowed those other things to get in my way. And again, I take full responsibility of that. Yeah, I was around some people who helped create some of that fog, but I allowed them to create that, so it's full responsibility on me to let those things get in my way, my stories, my situation. And that's what I hope our audience hears, is that, you literally are in control of your life more than you think you are. You have all the resources that are available to you. And whether you're taking action or not taking action, you're still taking action on not taking action. So when you choose to sit down and turn on the TV instead of doing something, you are taking an action. It's just away from what you want rather than towards what you want.
Right, right. One of the things I always say, it's okay to go slow, but as long as you go, right? Listen, a turtle's still going to get there, right? A snail's still going to get there on their time. But don't allow anybody to put the pressure on you sometimes. And we do that. We look at someone and like, oh man, they're doing amazing. They're doing this, they're doing that. And all of a sudden you get caught up, and then you try to do all these things. And then all of a sudden you're miserable.
Yeah.
But we all have our own time clock. We should follow that. Learn to tap into it.
So
Dr. Andrea, you said something about studying NLP, and I think this is a great thing, because I also have studied some of the neuro-linguistic programming, and I think this is a great touch of where, when it comes to action, you can be at cause or you can be at effect, right? You can be taking action, or you can be reacting to what's going on around you. And I think that's an important understanding for the listener to understand. It's like, are you reacting to what's going on in your world, or are you taking action on the things you know that you want to achieve?
Mhm.
Very good. Yeah, it can't be repeated enough, and this is that whole idea of being at cause. I'm excited a little bit about your story here. Well, more than a little bit. When I was looking up a little bit about you here, uh, you know, that there's this tremendous weight loss as well. So talk about somebody taking action on something. Will you tap into that story and how was that a fast action, a short action, or a trickle down, or
It's a daily action, to be honest with you. So I appreciate you asking about it. I'm honored to be in the situation where I've lost more than 100 pounds.
Mm.
And also I've lost it more than one time. So I lost it all the unhealthy way by living a lifestyle that was, fast and loose and not really the sustainable style, which I want to touch on because I've seen people who go on this weight loss journey. And I want to remind you that it's not a program, it's not a certain time frame. It is literally a lifestyle. You have to change who you are to become the thinner version of yourself that you want to be. Because I've seen so many that do these little short programs or these 90-day challenges, and that's wonderful for a sprint, but life is a marathon. So for me to, having lost it all once the hard way, then got into a relationship, got comfortable, got married, we had a kid, and I put on that pregnancy sympathy weight. So as we were eating, Thanksgiving turkey dinners 4 nights in a row for 5 weeks during her pregnancy, I was right there with her. I was supporting her on her journey and also picking up all that weight for myself. So when I made the decision, it was actually one of those situations where her and I were going through kind of a rough time in our relationship, right? New baby, not sleeping, working, trying to make it all come together. And we had a hard conversation where she was like, I'm not necessarily as attracted to you as I once was. And for me, it came back to realizing I wasn't taking the action I needed to be the man that she married, right? I wasn't taking action to be the husband, the father that I knew I should be. And it really hit me deep. So I kind of made that decision to go all in and say, well, if I'm going to be this example of a good husband, of a good man, good father, I can't be the guy who can't keep up with his son at the park. I can't be the person who snaps and I'm looking down from heaven and all of a sudden there's some other, gentleman in bed with my wife raising my son because I didn't make the time to take care of my health first. And that was like a really deep thing for me to saying, I can't let that be. So I have to make a decision to take action, not just today, but every day so that I can make better decisions to be the man that I said I would be when I promised I do at our wedding and when my son was born.
Wow, that is powerful. One of the things, Drewbie, one of the things that when I help people who come to me and they tell me they want to lose weight, they do this, they do that. The first question is, I say, how long have you been wanting that? And then, so I get into their head, because if in their head they didn't lose the weight, then you're right, they never will. You have to do it. And it's not just about weight, it's about anything. You have to kind of do it in your head first. You may want, and everybody wants something, but it's taking the action to actually do that. But I think it starts in your mind. Can you see yourself lighter? Can you see yourself, forget lighter, forget, all that stuff. I don't think anybody who's skinny wants to be skinny. I'm talking about healthy, right? It's all about healthy. Somebody who wants to be successful, they're not looking at, oh, look at that yacht. That's a beautiful yacht. But they don't see all the aspects behind the owning the yacht, because you have to buy the fuel, you have to transport it, you have to keep it. So they don't see all the little things that actually have to go into owning that yacht or helicopter or whatever it is, all these fancy things. But you have to actually be able to see every aspect of that, which is what you want, whether it's weight loss, finances, love, marriage, family, right? How good of a dad can I be if all I want to do is keep my thumb on my kids, it's never going to happen. And they're going to grow up to resent me as a person. So we have to think about the end goal, but we have to do it today. We can't think about it later, because later we've missed so much.
Yeah, and I think it's not even just that, it's the are you willing to make the sacrifices? You know, you may see someone who's super fit or super in shape, and you don't see the fact that they're giving up the birthday cake at their kids' parties, that they're giving up the going out and having the fancy meals and the extra cocktails. Like, there are sacrifices to be made to have certain things in your life. And it's just a willingness to decide, am I going to make that sacrifice? Am I willing to be in that moment and maybe look or feel silly or have other people judge me based on my decisions? Because my goals are my goals, and the action that I'm taking is in result to get the goals that I've put for myself. And also, we live in a society where judgment is a real thing, and everyone is constantly making these snap decisions and these snap judgments. So, you know, I've gone through these phases where I've done like the 75 hard program, where you're not drinking and you're not, you know, doing certain parts of what would be considered normal life. And there's a lot of conversation there. There's a lot of people that go, well, why would you do that? That seems a bit insane or excessive. And it's going, okay, well, if I want to be extraordinary, I have to put in a little extra. I have to be a little extra. And not everybody's willing to do that or be that. And so that's the difference, though. That's the difference between the person who settles for where they are and what they have, and the person who makes that decision to say, you know what, I know I can have better and I can be more. I'm going to go and do that.
Since
Yeah, a lot of people, they start something like 75 hard, yet they quit, and then they say, yeah, I did it, but did you? So, and you know, when you think about 75 hard, it's 75 consecutive days. And for me, it's been thousands of days. I've never stopped. So when I first heard of 75 hard, I'm like, oh, what is that? Like 75 days. I'm like, oh no, I'm way beyond that. But it's what you want in your life. If I want to be the best version of me later, I need to do it today. So taking action for me is about waking up in the morning, thinking about the rest of my life, thinking about my past, thinking about my family. How am I going to make an impact? And you talked about people are going to judge you. And when we're young and when we're dumb, we look, oh, I better dress this way, I better do that because somebody's going to say something about it. Guess what? Nobody cares. In reality, you know why people judge? Because they're really pointing their fingers back at themselves. They're judging themselves, and there's envy in that. So when somebody judges me, I'm like, oh man, I feel so bad for you. I said, take a look in the mirror before you judge me. Because you know who judges me every day? Me. I look in the mirror and I go, what are you doing? How are you going to be today? How are you going to impact people? How are you going to impact your own life? And so that's why I work out every day, 7 days a week. There are no breaks for me because if I eat, I work out. If I don't eat, I still work out. So for me, it's just that. If I'm not, but there's more than physical fitness. There's mental fitness that we have to get into. So if I'm not sharpening that pencil, if I'm not reading, if I'm not indulging in the community that I'm in, if I am not involved, then what am I doing? Am I just going to be a person who sits on the couch and just waits for things to be handed to me? Guess what? Maybe you think that's going to happen, but man, that train is never coming. You need to take the action yourself. And when you rely on other people, guess what? We are all going to be left with uncertainty. Because when we rely on someone else, we're relying on their time, their actions. So we need to take the action or ourselves.
One of the things that I'm hearing in both of you, that's there's some overlap, and then there's things that are totally different. So I've been heavy my whole life, and heavy, varying levels of heavy. But what's interesting is the word heavy or the word fat has been the same. I was talking about this with some people the other day. So when I weighed 137 at age 19, and I worked at a fitness studio, we wore the purple unitard with the thong, and that's how we did all our
Mm.
exercises. I was told I was fat all the time. And then I got to like into my 150s, and I was still just called fat. And then I got to around 180, which is, by the way, I've found out that a lot of the girls that I'm around with, that everybody thinks are super attractive, that I think are super attractive, weigh like that 170, 180. And they're not referred to as fat now. So our time and our society is seeing weight differently. And then now I weigh a lot. I'm very transparent about my weight. I weigh 282 right now.
Mm.
I'm still just called fat. It's the same word. So in my head, I don't see myself in a mirror as heavy, because I'm still the fat girl at 137, equally fat. Like it
Mm.
didn't matter. The difference didn't matter. So in a way, it sounds negative, but it's actually super body confident. I have an unusual body confidence that my friends and peers are always asking me, like, how do you have so much confidence and you weigh so much? Like, and I'm like, well, there's part of it is, because of the NLP and hypnosis and so forth. And realistically, over this last 2 years, it's been 2 years now, I gained over 80 to 100 pounds, about 100, because I was going through a difficult relationship with a business partnership. And so I went back to my fallback, which has always been comfort food. But at the
Mm.
same time, it wasn't just comfort food. So yes, some of it was eating, but as my husband pointed out, he's like, you don't eat that much to weigh as much as you do. And it's so funny because the last 10 days, I had a friend that I met on a marketing cruise. There was 450 of us, and she's Chinese. She's super adorable. Her name's Joanna Mack. And she come up to me and she said, I want to come visit. She talks, I love her accent. She go, I'm gonna come visit you. You need health. I'm gonna fix you. And I'm like, fine, come over. And that was the length of our conversation, by the way. I only knew this woman 10 minutes. She said she had this device. She wanted to come to my house and she wanted to help me and fix me. And I said, do it. And so she came to my house 2 months later and stayed here for 10 days. And that was the first time in fact, we never even we talked twice via text
Wow.
to her to come to my house. So she spent 10 days with me, and she used this bioelectrical device on me that's Chinese, that does acupuncture, some type of massage and a type of cupping, and then of course the electrical stem. And you could definitely see a movement. And I used to have just a fatness about me around apple shape, and now I actually teased her. I said, I went from having one fat roll to having two now, because she made an indent with the device.
Mm.
However, that didn't change my weight. It just removed toxins and stuff like that. But it was funny, when she left, she said, she was like, I watched you, and I love doing her accent. She said, I watch you, eat. I don't know why you fat. Eat. And I said, I don't know, maybe my body's just holding it all on resourcefully, but it is because I'm not moving. I
Mm.
work so much on the computer, and there's so much sitting. And then that time where, because it was the end of COVID, and I was sitting way more, and I was sad. And so in being sad, you tend to sit more, and you're not as energetic and on the go. And talking about that lack of taking action, I was choosing actions that were more sedentary than
Mm.
getting out and doing things. I would ask people to get things for me instead of getting them myself. Like I would say, hey, can you refill my water for me? Instead of just getting up off my butt and getting it myself. And it's amazing how just moving makes that difference. So I just wanted to share that so people hear the difference. And you guys are talking, I don't want to work out every day, and I have no interest in doing that. It's just not my thing. I grew up with parents who ran every day and loved it. Not my thing. I'm okay being heavier, but I'm not okay with the fatigue and the whatever with it. And so just the process of moving again. So I'm in a musical right now. So I'm dancing every night because we have 3-hour practice.
That's beautiful.
But,
I love everything that you said, and thank you for saying that, because a lot of people, and Drewbie, you talked about it, people are going to judge you. And the fact that you're like, you know what, I'm beautiful, period. I don't care what you think. I know what I think. And that's the key ingredient here. And good for you for doing that, because here's the thing. You said something very important that I think everybody should take is, working out is not for me, and it doesn't have to be for you. But you did say one thing, is movement is what is the key. And I think movement is the key to all of us. We were meant to move, right? So, and the fact that you're dancing 3 hours every night, that's great movement.
well, I'm not fully dancing the full
I
3
get it,
hours.
I get it, but
Taking
it's
way
not for
too
3
much
hours straight,
time.
but you're moving
I
around.
want to be very candid that I'm not like, it's by the way, if anything has the word hard in it, I'm not interested. So like the whole idea of like 75 hard, ew. I don't want to, 75 easy, totally, I'm in.
Yeah, there you go.
So Drewbie, did you notice, like, with 75 hard, I find that funny too, because a lot of my friends and stuff did 75 hard, and then the second hard on the 76th day reward, like, let's see how long that it was just totally funny to me how their whole life changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been around hundreds of people that have done the program at this point. I've done it. So there's a series of them, phases, they call them, where you can do an entire year-long portion of it. I've done the entire year. I've done a second round of just the 75 days. And this is why I said earlier, it's about a lifestyle change, not a program or a time frame.
Yeah.
And, I think the biggest thing I want people to understand, and see if you kind of mention this, is intentionality of movement. When I was 315 pounds, I was fatigued. I didn't feel like going out and going to the gym. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want people to look at me and be like, who's this fat, lazy guy that's like, even though you're in the gym trying to get your life together, and everybody that's there is like, hell yeah, this dude's trying to get his life together, or this girl's trying to get their life together, you're still internally making judgments on yourself based on your own weird insecurities and whatever. And so what I really want people to understand is that movement, walking, is one of the best things that you can do for your entire body. So for me, when I started my journey, I remember telling my wife, I would roll over and start like tossing and turning at 4:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't have to be up until 6:30. So I'd literally just toss and turn for 2 hours every morning and not do anything. And I remember looking at her and saying, I'm just going to get up and go for a walk, because clearly my body's trying to tell me to do something. And like, this isn't working. And whatever I got going on in my own life, like, I got to do some mindset stuff and kind of figure it out. So I would get up, I'd put on a podcast, or like Jim Rohn, or Ed Milet, or Eric Thomas, or one of those guys, and I would just go walk. And my motto became, a 5K a day keeps the doctor away. So if I could go walk a 5K every day, it would take me 45 to 60 minutes, because I walk at like a 15 to 16 minute pace per mile. I got long legs. So, don't quit. I'm not saying you got to go and run or jog the whole thing, but literally just walking 3.25 miles every single day. That was my goal. If I could just do that, I knew it would keep the doctor away. And that time that I was walking and listening to these podcasts and absorbing books on Audible, and started really developing that mind shift, all the weight, it started coming off slowly. It's not like it's just going to start falling off and you're going to be, 25 pounds lighter overnight. You're going to have to take time. But here's what happens is, every day you make that decision to get up and to go do something. And by 7:30 in the morning, when I got back and got out of the shower and started actually going into my day, I felt pretty damn confident. I felt like a winner. And guess what happened when I got on the phone and started making sales calls? I felt more confident. And the people who were on the other side of that call could feel that confidence, and it helped them feel better about the decision they were making to move forward in working with me. And what happened is that compounded over time. And then as I shared that journey with people on social media and I used that struggle that I was going through as my story, more and more people started coming out of the woodwork and going, well, dang, I've been dealing with that too. I appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable and being willing to have this conversation, because it's something that I've been thinking about, but I didn't, have anyone to really relate it to. And then you shared your story, and now I've got this motivation to go and do this. And I started doing this thing 4 or 5 years ago, and it started feeling at first really, really douchey. But every morning when I go out to walk, I would take a picture of myself, a little selfie, and I would tag the time and the temperature. And so it would always be somewhere between like 4:45 and 5:30 whenever I got out the door, and it would be 89 degrees in Texas at 6 a.m., which makes no sense, or it would be like -5. But I would just post this every day in my stories. This was like one of my personal accountability things. I would just post this little douchey selfie, and it felt really awful. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing, but you know what? I'm going to keep doing it. And over time, I started getting messages from people that I hadn't heard from in years, that never commented on any of my stuff, that never engaged with anything, but they would send me a message and go, hey, I've been watching you make these posts every morning for the last 6 months, a year, however long, and it motivated me to get up earlier and go get after it. Now, I'm not getting up at 4 a.m., but instead of 7, I'm at 6:15. And guess what? Now my wife and I have time to have coffee every morning. I just wanted to say thank you for that. And that's the thing that I want people to remember, is it doesn't have to be CrossFit. It doesn't have to be some crazy gym membership. You can literally just get up and walk and start your journey there, and you will be amazed at how far it'll take you.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'm hearing you talk about, and I want to share this with you guys also, is we have a masterclass coming up soon, and it's on communication. You communicated with your body. You started to do what most people fail, is to listen. And you listen to your body tossing and turning at 4:30 in the morning. And then you started moving, and you go, what am I doing? I better start listening to my body. And not only did you listen to your body, you got out and walked, but you said, I'm going to make my time worth its while. So you started listening to audio, which probably helped you propel you even further, because a lot of the people you just mentioned were very motivational people to inspire you. So that's something that really can trigger somebody. So when you consider going for a walk, yeah, you can, just go out there and walk. But if you put on something that's going to inspire you to go further, I think that's huge. Let me share this with you guys. Take a look.
Welcome to Speaking Prowess, where we believe in the power of communication to transform lives. If you're ready to take your communication skills to the next level, then mark your calendars for April 5th, because we've got something special for you. We have a lineup of some of the most influential communication experts in the industry. These are the voices that will guide you on a journey to enhance your ability to connect, influence, and succeed. At Speaking Prowess, our mission is clear: to empower you through effective communication. We know that mastering the art of communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how you say it and the impact it has on every aspect of your life. So take action now. Join us on April 5th and unlock your full speaking potential. Reserve your spot today and get ready to embark on a journey towards personal and professional growth. See you at the masterclass on April 5th.
Boom. There it is. Masterclass on communication. I think one of the things that can inspire all of us is, and you talked about it, Drewbie, about the way you listen to your body. You decided to make a difference because you actually listened to your spouse when she said, "You're not the same person that I fell in love with. You've changed, but not for the better." So you did two things in listening. You listened to someone else, and then you started figuring out, before, everybody's always going to come and tell us different things, how you should be, what you should do. But no, you're never going to, and in sales, nobody's going to buy anything unless they think it's their idea. And we know that. So it's the same thing with us. So even though your wife said it, she could have kept saying it and say it until you decided to listen to her. But the most important person that you listened to was you. And you said, well, I need to do something. And you may have initially said, I want to do it so I can keep my wife. And you said, I don't want another man raising my child. I don't want another man sleeping in my bed. But when you thought of it, you didn't do it for them. The real message was, I got to do this for me because it benefits me 1,000%. And no one else can do it for you. No one else can say, hey, don't eat that. I mean, they could, but you make that final decision. You make that decision. And you know what? Getting thinner, if that's what you want, or for some people, they're so thin, they need to gain some weight. But we have to be able to say, what do I want? What do I choose? And whatever you choose, it's your life. You should not allow anyone else to tell you how to live your life. Because guess what? The actions you take today lead to your tomorrows. And do you have a few tomorrows or do you have many tomorrows? So your actions are definitely an investment in your future.
I wanted to tie the things that you're saying. We've our show is called Business Prowess. And yet we talked about weight during the show and eating and taking action in different ways for our personal health. And for the whole point of anything that we talk about is, it's interesting, we'll go to things and say, well, that's not what I wanted to listen to. But part of it is just being able to hear the message and being able to apply it to everything else. So we may have used the story was about weight loss and taking action and moving and showing up differently and being present and being responsible for yourself. However, the message still applies to business. So are you adding more, making your business leaner so that you have more time and, fattening up your checkbook instead of your responsibility list? Are you, driving yourself in a way that allows you to have more free time to enjoy the things that you're working towards? So anything that we share on Business Prowess, apply it to yourself and allow yourself to mold it to fit your life. Our message can fit who you are. And I just got confirmation from a bell that says that just must have been wonderful.
The universe always provides that reminder. And something I think you hit is beautiful is, success is a perspective. What I see as success is going to be different than what you see, Dr. Andrea, is going to be different than what Sifu sees, and is definitely different than what the listener sees. We all may have similarities in what we want, maybe a certain money or lifestyle, but it's always going to be unique to each individual, just like a fingerprint. And what's important is when you start realizing that your unique fingerprint, your unique version of success is what makes you so amazing on this planet. Then you get to make the choice to say, okay, well, what kind of life do I want to live? And something that I really developed that's super important to me is, one, understanding what your time is worth. Most people don't have that answer. They don't know what their time is truly worth, which is why they're making very bad investments with it. You can't buy more time. You can't win it in a poker tournament. You don't get a card with an extra year of life on your birthday where it's like, hey, happy birthday, here's an extra year. No, most of the time the card is like, hey, congratulations, check another one off the box. You're lucky you made it. Like, hope you make another one. It's sad, but it's true. That's a guarantee. You're at some point you're going to be dead. And yet people still invest the time that they've been blessed with today into all kinds of things that aren't getting them the life that they want. So for me, I always ask somebody, hey, what is your time worth? And if you can truly tell me that, then we know where we're investing it to get the result that we want. And so you taught business prowess, right? Let's make this a business conversation here. Take all the money that you made last year, total it up. Main job, side hustle. Maybe you have one of those, spicy websites that you make money from on the side. We won't judge you. We're just saying, take all the money that you made, pile it up, and divide it by 2,000. Because if you were an average human, which nobody who's here listening to a podcast or a show like this is average, you're trying to be above average. But like if you were average, let's just say you'd work 2,000 hours because you'd work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. You'd take a 2-week vacation. That's about the average of what most like typical positions are, 9-to-5 jobs. So if you made $100,000 and you work 2,000 hours, your time's worth $50. For some people, that's awesome. For others, maybe it doesn't sound like very much. These day and age, you make $20 just to go serve food at a Taco Bell. So like with inflation and all the numbers, things get crazy. But here's the deal. If I'm deaf and I come knocking on your door because I got my hood up, right, and I got my little scythe, and I'm like, hey, knock, knock. I need you to come with me for 1 hour. Here's $50. Here's $100. Here's whatever that arbitrary number is that you just came up with in your head. What kind of response are you going to give me? You're not going. Not for that number. Right? Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to think, well, what would that hour truly be worth to me? There is a number. At some point, if you knew you only had 24 hours left to live and you could give up an hour of whatever it is you had to do during that hour for $1 million, $10 million, you would do it because you know that money that you'd make would be a resource you could give to the people you care about. So let's think about the time is money mindset. Where are you spending your time? Because that is money you can't get back. It is an irreplaceable asset. So if you're spending your time in the right areas, you're going to get a better return on that investment. So what areas are you spending time in? To me, there's 4 areas of life that matter, which is where I come up with my 4 6s strategy. Here's the areas that matter to me. Sleep. Because if you've ever been on a 48 to 72 hour bender, you realize at a certain point it doesn't look too good and you don't operate very well. Just be honest. And then we have our family, because most of the time we're doing it for our legacy, our family, our relationships, right? That's the thing that we're building as entrepreneurs and business owners. We're trying to do it for our family. And we have our business, because none of us have FU money yet. We're not so rich that we don't have to work, so we all have to show up. And honestly, most of us like to work. That's why we are entrepreneurs. That's why we do what we do. And then we have ourselves, which is interesting that we put ourselves last because we tell everybody we're showing up as the best version of ourselves and that we're doing all of this for our family and for this legacy. But when you get on a plane, the first thing they tell you in the safety briefing is you have to put your own oxygen mask on first. Because if you don't, you become a burden to everyone else in the case of an emergency. So if you're living your life and putting yourself last, that means you're not putting on your own oxygen mask and you're a burden to everyone else around you, which means you're actually showing up as the best version of yourself. You're showing up as a tired, fatigued, slightly out of oxygen, slightly out of shape, slightly not the version of yourself you're supposed to be because you're putting yourself last instead of focusing on being the best version of you so that everyone behind you, around you, and with you can get that version. And that's where I think if you're spending time intentionally, 24 hours in a day, 4 areas that matter, spend 6 hours in each of those areas and get the result that you want. Now you're living the 3 lives that you live every day, Dr. Andre, because now you know you have your family life, you have your personal life, you have your business life. And if you've ever spent 6 hours focused on any one thing, 6 hours with, someone you care about, 6 hours head down focused on a project, you realize you can get a lot done in 6 hours. But it has to be intentional.
It does. It does.
You got to circle back to that intentionality, and that's how you get the result.
So, you're talking about giving up your time with intention. So, Drewbie, I want to thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me a platform.
Yeah, you also made me think of that Justin Timberlake movie. Remember when they were running out of time, they had it on their arm. They can tell, how much time you had left, and people were trying to buy time.
Mm-hmm.
But you said it. What if you had 24 hours left to live? First, what would you do? Would you go to work to your 9-to-5 job? Or would you spend it with the people you love? Would you eat your favorite food? Would you indulge in something that you've been putting off? If you say, you know what, man, I really love ice cream, but Yeah, it's not good for me. Guess what? If you have ice cream every day, it's not good for you. But if you have it once in a blue, hey, go for it. Life is short. We don't know when that bus is going to hit us, right? We don't know. The whole thing you have to do is you have to live. You have to live and with intention. And you said it. How much time do I want to spend with these people? How about these people? What do I want to do? A lot of times, personally, I have to spend time with this guy right here by myself because I need to give him the time so that I can be the best version of me when I present myself in front of others. So thank you for sharing that. And we're actually wrapping it up because we are coming to the end of the show. Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Andrea, you are always so inspirational with everything that you say and the way you think and the way you make us feel. So what is your takeaway from today's show?
Well, when you were talking about that last hour, Drewbie, and then you made a comment about how much, like would you sell an hour for so much so you could give that money to your family, kind of choked me up here because I thought, shit, I probably would sell time so that I could give money to my family. And that's probably the last thing that they'd want is they would have wanted that hour from me. So thank you for that. Thanks.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You are very welcome. That is the whole point of this show, is to make an impact on one person. So, Dr. Andrea, if you're the only person it impacted today, we made a difference. But I have a feeling in my heart that there's a couple other folks out there that really took that and they heard it. And I hope that they take action on that lesson, because none of this matters if you just take the information and let it go one ear out the other. If you go and take action, then we know the three of us have spent time today that was very, very valuable. And in return, the world will be a better place because of it. So I just appreciate y'all giving me the platform and opportunity to share that message.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you have so much to offer, my friend. Drewbie, how can we find you? How can our listeners find you? I know you have an amazing book and you have some great stuff and you help so many people. How can they find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. If you want to find more about me, I am at Call the Damn Leads on every social media platform out there. If you go to callthedamnleads.com, we have swag. I have my book. I have free training that I give away. I've done millions and millions of dollars in sales over the years. I've helped thousands of people take a journey to becoming a better version of themselves. If you want to learn how I've done it, using social media, just building genuine relationships and using my brand and my story to help inspire others, go to callthedamnleads.com, check us out, send me a message. I'd love to chat with you.
Lovely.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, everybody. Have an exceptional rest of your Friday. Make it a great one. And don't waste your time.
Love you.
Love you guys. Bye-bye. Wrong one. You're wrong.